What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Gould's Gaming and Tech channel. Today I'm here to give you guys a full review of Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. This is the review of this game. Now this is a review from the PS5 version. You may have a different experience if you play this game on a different console, but this is for the PS5. Now, just to keep in mind, a disclaimer, as I go through these things, in particular for this game, it may be different for you in your personal experience. So again, keep that in mind when I'm going off these things on this list. Now, as always on this channel, if you're new, make sure to hit that subscribe button by the end of the video if this content was helpful. And also, if you're new or returning, make sure to hit that like button. It's the best way that I and YouTube knows that you guys enjoy this kind of content. Without any further ado, let's hop into it. Now, the first thing on the list is the enemy type on this game. The enemy type is a little bit lackluster, I would say, in my opinion. Most of the enemies are pretty much the same. You're just fighting mostly humans, and then the humans and the robots. Now, you do have some boss battles here and there. They don't really change in variety. The difficulty may change slightly, but it's not anything vast to make you say, hey, this enemy is drastically different from the other one that I just fought in this completely separate mission. This is all pretty much the same, as it should be for the most part. There's a common enemy when it comes to the Avatar world. It's the sky people, quote unquote, and pretty much them trying to take over their land. So you're not going to get many different enemies. You can throw in some animal enemies here and there just because of the vast dangers of Pandora, but outside of that, you're pretty much faced with the same enemy. All right, now the next thing on the list is the environment. Now, I will say from my experience, that is the main and most important part of this game. The world of Pandora is amazing to look at. There's so much wildlife, there's so much vegetation, the plants, everything that you can see. This map is what I would consider more than three-dimensional, because you have the ground level, which is vast in its own, but you also have the different layers, because you can go up in the mountains, you can get on the sky mounts, you can get on the land mounts, and it opens up a whole new aspect and perspective of this game. So the environment, with all its lushness, its greenness, the interactive greenery, it just makes for a great run through and exploring experience. Alright, so the next thing on the list is the character customization. Now, most games don't offer character customization, so I have to keep that in mind when bringing up the customization in this game. Although it is very limited, they did not have to introduce that feature in this game, but they decided to do so. But just to let you guys know, the features that they do offer and the customization that they do offer for your character is pretty limited. You can change some things, you know, the voice type, some kind of body accents, hair type, and so on and so forth, the gender. But outside of that, it's very limited with even those options in itself. But again, most games don't even offer character customization, so the fact that this one does, you know, you can take what you get. So the next thing on the list is the story. Now, this story is very much its own game. It does take some elements from the James Cameron version on the silver screen of what it means to be on Pandora and the Avatar, but you can definitely tell that the game developers took an artistic direction for how they wanted to incorporate and tell this story. But I will say, if you're looking for a similar story that will tug on your heartstrings like it did in the movies, you might want to look somewhere else, because this game does not offer that. Now, the story is in some regards compelling. The overall consensus of the story is just not as heart-tugging as the movie, but it does offer some elements here and there of personable storylines. And also, you don't feel as connected to the story and the Na'vi plight that you want to find, but you do have some elements where you do feel connected. All right, next on the list is the Traversal. The Traversal is in my opinion, the second best thing in this game, with them developing the game first person as opposed to third person. It allows you to really take in all of the wildlife, and like I said, the greenery, the pastures, the plants, the lows and the highs of this map. You will feel like you are really in that world. And again, like I said, the traversal, with it being in first person, you can climb a lot of things. You can ride the sky mounts, you can ride the ground mounts, you can climb the vines, even in the world. You have plenty of ways to traverse this greenery. You can jump very high as an avatar. So the traversal as well as the environment pretty much goes hand in hand with how you explore this world. Alright, next thing on the list is this game does run into some bugs and glitches. You'll find yourself at times trying to be more immersed in the game, but at moments you notice you'll run into some pretty annoying bugs that quite frankly take away from the gameplay. Now, these are not game shattering bugs, and I'm pretty sure these will be addressed in a future update, but just first playthrough when the game initially launched, it does have some bugs that are quite annoying, but none to be too concerned with. Alright, so the next thing on the list is the combat. Now, the combat is good when you first get into it, learning how to use the bow and other weapons, mainly the firearms. And I'm a big fan of the bow. You throw a bow in any game and it's pretty much a winner for me. I love using a bow and arrow in any game, and definitely in this game it makes a lot of sense, and obviously it makes sense to have it because they had it and it was a main weapon in the movies. But after using the weapons after a while, they kind of seem a little bit stale to use because there's not much of a dynamic to the combat after you get to a certain point in the story, and you don't really have like dynamic kills after a while. The kills don't really seem as fulfilling as they did earlier on, but you do have that initial feeling when you start, but it does, I have to admit, go away after a while. And now the last thing I will touch on is the voice acting. Now, surprisingly enough, I wasn't really paying attention or would make a note of the voice acting on my initial playthrough, but as I was going through the story, even though the story wasn't as fulfilling and heart-tugging as I thought, one thing I did note was that the voice acting was done very well, even if the animations kind of didn't mirror up to the emotion that the voice actors were putting into the character. The voice acting was one of the highlights, I must say, in this storyline. It didn't seem robotic, it didn't seem stale, it didn't seem like the writing was bad at all. The voice acting definitely boosted up my gameplay experience. So overall, I will say my review of this, or my score that I would give the Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, at least for the PS5 and at least for the first playthrough without any major updates that was pushed out, I would give this game a solid 6 or 7 out of 10. I think if I had to stick to a number, I'll probably give it like a 6.5 out of 10. I've definitely played a lot better games, and definitely with 2023, there's been a lot of pretty good games that came out this year, and it's tough competition to compete against, whether it be Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty DLC, the God of War Ragnarok DLC that's gonna be coming out, the Valhalla DLC, which should be pretty amazing, Hogwarts Legacy that came out, you know, so many other titles that this game has to compete with throughout the year. I think a 6.5 is a fair score for this game. It's not horrible, it's not the best, but it's, you know, a little bit above average. It's a good and, you know, okay game to play. So hopefully this gave you guys some insight on, you know, how to approach this game if you're thinking about buying it. Maybe you have a little bit more insight on what to be prepared for, and if you're not thinking about buying it, maybe this kind of confirmed those thoughts that you had. But yeah, that's my review of this game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you guys enjoyed this content and it was helpful, make sure to drop that like button and subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.